Is someone seriously complaining about me using F-bombs in this porn show? Cool.
Guys, welcome to the fucking show.
Thanks for being here. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to give everyone, I'm going to introduce all of our writers so that you guys know who is who. And then we're going to hear all 6 stories. And as you're listening to all 6 stories, think about how you want to rank them, because voting is going to be ranked. So at the end of the show, I'm going to ask you to pick your first favorite, your second favorite, and your third favorite by going to a website, which I will tell you later because we don't want to bomb it too early. And yeah, so keep that in mind as you're listening to the stories that Baruch is going to read to you. And then at the end, once we have all the votes in and tabulated, we're going to announce who won. Joe, what's going on there? just doing full chest hair review, babe.
Hey, it's that kind of show.
Yeah.
And what we win is nothing more than the right to say, I'm the best pornographer for a month.
Yeah, it's true. Well, not even a month anymore. Now you get it for like at least a year. I mean, I'm only doing like one of these a year now. So you get to hold on to it for a long time. Yeah.
You could be the best pornographer. I wish I had known that. I would have included a lot more surprise tentacle porn. I would.
No, don't give anything away.
I don't think anyone with any familiarity with Shipwreck at this point is going to be surprised or tipped off to what I wrote by my saying I didn't include enough surprise tentacle porn.
You're probably right. I've been doing Shipwreck since the very first Shipwreck we ever did, and I still can't believe you signed on for that, and you're the best person that I've ever known, and I'm so glad that you're here.
Dicks.
Yeah. Dicks! Yeah, it was, I mean, that was a hard cold sell for the first one of like, I don't even know what this show is. You want to do it? You were like, yes, I will be there. Where are we here? Let's meet the writers. Let's do that. I'll start with Seanan since we're chatting already. Hi, Seanan. Seanan McGuire writes things. We have yet to find a way to make her stop. I always love your bios. She is everywhere the corn is, and she knows what you did last Halloween. Seanan obviously writes a ton of books, and you can buy them all at booksmith.com. They're fantastic and amazing, and I love them. And if you need a recommendation, let me know. But yeah. Hi, Seanan. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Everyone is clapping. It's great. Yay. Rax King is a bitch. Thank you for letting me say that on your bio. I'm reading that. I'm not calling her that. She is the author of the collection The People's Elbow, 30 recitatives written, oh my god, I'm not going to even try, on rape and wrestling, sorry. And the essay collection Tacky, Vintage 2021. I'm so excited for your forthcoming essay collection. Her work can also be found in Glamour, Catapult, and Electric Literature. Look out for her monthly column, Store-Bought is Fine, for hot takes about the Food Network. Thanks, Rax.
I can't believe you called me a bitch.
Scheherazade and Dylan are 2 friends who love eating big tasty meals together. I love whatever is happening with Scheherazade here. This is like amazing. Dylan, you're also a writer and illustrator and a musician and all sorts of things. And thank you so much for being here. Yay. Joe, you're back. Hi. Can you hear me? You're really here, right? Yeah, okay, good. Joe Wadlington has been published in The New Yorker, in Catapult, Vox, Food, and Wine magazine. His etiquette column, Polite Company, appears in Architectural Digest monthly. He is deeply ashamed of each of you, but mostly of himself. Hi, Joe. Thank you for being here, all the way from Tennessee. Can you even hear me? You're just like, I don't know, is Joe okay? Do you need to be rescued? Are you okay there? Okay. Dominique Gelin, hi Dom.
Hello.
Dominique is a comedian and writer based in Oakland, California, and a writer for Nice Tin Comedy and Killing My Lobster. Thank you so much for being here, Dominique.
Thank you, excited.
And finally, Alani Foxall with the best background. That's what my hair is trying to do. The group chat is doing that hair. And I don't know how it worked, but it's all the bobby pins in the whole entire world. Alani Foxall is a Bay Area native who moved to New York City to pursue a career in entry-level accounting jobs. Her past as a San Francisco comedy writer haunts her to this very day, and she is cursed to write 40 prose until the day she dies.
Thank you for
having me. Alani. And thank you to all of you for being here. I hope we're gonna have some fun together. I appreciate it. And finally, last but not least, Checking your shirt. How's your shirt doing, babe?
Not sure if I want it closed or opened, or if maybe I'll just save it for later, or maybe I should just like show the world now. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I'm always pro chest hair, but I leave it to you.
Amy, how are you?
I'm good. I didn't actually fully. This is Baruch Porras-Hernandez, you guys. He's our reader. He's going to read you all these stories anonymously with his glorious voice and his sparkly backdrop. And thank you again for doing the thing. How are you?
I'm great. I'm just here, you know, in my spooky lair, being my spooky self, thinking about all the boys I'm gonna chomp on once all of this is over. Drinking my little, is it Gatorade or is it blood? Who knows?
That's a nice touch.
I'm trying to get ready for these sexy stories.
Yeah,
and, you know, I may or may not be wearing pants, which is what I say at every Zoom show that I do now, because I may or may not be wearing pants.
That's fair, but if that's blood, there's something seriously wrong with your donor. Like, they've already died from a lack of plasma, and you should be drinking that.
Dehydration. How are you doing, Amy? I miss you terribly.
I miss you too. I'm very warm. It's very warm in my apartment, and I'm just sweating out of my face.
Oh, it's like hot over there, huh? I've had my AC on all day. My electric bill is going to go through the roof, but whatever.
I keep thinking how it's like broad daylight in San Francisco. That's got to feel really unwholesome.
It is very bright outside. It looks beautiful. Yeah. I mean, just kidding. It's gloomy and spooky.
It was
I was going to wear vampire fangs, but I decided it would fuck up with my diction, and then with my luck, I would end up choking on a lost fang in the back of my throat. So I was like, I don't think people want to see that on live TV. Just kidding, on live Zoom or this weird, strange new world we live in.
Yeah. I'm just laughing so hard at Joe just disappearing and coming back for all the time.
There he is.
Hi. Yeah. Well, what do you think? You wanna read us some porn?
Sure, it's up to you, baby. You're the boss, Amy. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I miss you actually telling me what to do. It was always really fun to be like, Amy, can I do this? And sometimes Amy would be like, I don't know, go ask Casey. And then I would like, you know, waddle my way over. Casey, can I do this? And then Casey would be like, what did Amy say? And I'll be like, I don't know. Mom said yes, but she wanted to know what you thought. And then Casey would be like, I don't know. It would be like really, really fun. It'd be like
that
the
was
parents
the most
I never had.
impression I've ever heard. You sounded, I was like, is Casey talking right now? Yeah. I miss having a lot of people to tell what to do. I can't tell him what to do. He just bites me. So.
I remember a time when I tried to tell you that I didn't think you were that bossy, and you were like, "No, I'm bossy," and I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." Oh, sorry.
Oh, is this a roast now? Is this a roast? We're just talking about how bossy I am and how much I say the F word? Is that what we're doing?
No, I didn't think you were bossy. Bossy is a neutral term. It's a neutral thing. Not that
yeah, I didn't think you were bossy. It's more like I'm needy.
There's the truth.
Amy, what do I do now? Amy, was it okay? And you were like, it's fine, honey. Just relax and have some whiskey. And I would be like, yay, whiskey.
Whiskey time. Do you have your water? Do you need more water? I'll get you more water. Yeah. There was a bit
Pulse, please. I'm ready when you are. But I got the first story right here.
Perfect. I'm just going to assume that everyone has some passing familiarity with, like, Dracula as a concept. I will give you a little quick and dirty intro to each character before we get going on each story, just so you know like who everybody is in case you're not familiar with the characters. I'm assuming everyone has at least seen the 1992 disaster classic Francis Ford Coppola version if you haven't read the book. Yeah, it's I kind of can't believe we're finally doing this one. I'm really excited. I was on the fence about it, and then Casey made me watch the Francis Ford Coppola film, and I was like, oh yes, I'm in. We will be doing this. This will be great.
Is that the one with Mr. Keanu Reeves in it?
No.
Oh.
Oh, he is in that one? Yeah, he's in that one.
And Winona Ryder?
It didn't last that long.
Winona Ryder?
It was a whole thing. I was very stoned, and I have not great memory of it, but it was a trip, and I was like, so anyway, yeah, we're gonna do that. So first up, and again, if anybody missed the beginning spiel, if you still need to buy tickets and donate, it's booksmith.com/homewreck. Links are at the bottom. And we're going to start off with Lucy Westenra, who is 19, wealthy, of course, impossibly beautiful. At one point, she has not one, not two, but 3 potential suitors, and she's annoyed because she wants to just marry them all. She's mostly just minding her business until she becomes Dracula's first victim, when she goes from being like just like a horny archetype of Victorian femininity to being like an even hornier like vampire monster terrorizing innocent men. So yeah, that's Lucy. We're gonna start with Lucy, and Baruch, you're up.
Yay! All right, here we go. Welcome everyone. My name is Baruch Porras-Hernandez, your spooky reader for tonight's Shipwreck. Just to be completely honest, I never read the book. I usually don't, because who reads books nowadays? All right, our first story tonight is right here. Everybody take a deep breath. Picture someone naked, let it out. Here we go. Dracula, la 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 la, I can't hear you. Lucy Westenra rode bikes, showed ankle, and drank her liquor with only a little ice. She was a certified bad bitch. It was no surprise that when a certain pale-ass Western European trust fund vampire started swooping around the shadows of London, she didn't mind leaving her window ajar. And by window, I mean labia. She lay on her red satin bedspread in a red satin robe that was fully open, airing out those very labia out. Count Dracula should be coming by tonight, and she had a surprise for him. People, especially Mina Harker, did not want her to mix it up with this vampire. He was a Catholic after all, and she'd probably die, but like, whatever. London was boring as shit. Everyone was all, pip, pip, pip is the Tuesday. Do you want to have a black puddings with the governor? Over and over again. Sure, it was an unkind stereotype to say that pock-teeth English pigs just bathed in tea, though about classism and went 4 centuries without favoring their meat pies. But England had made horrific stereotypes of every group of brown people and then killed them. So Lucy thought they could handle a joke or two. She was, of course, wrong. No one thought her jokes were funny, not even the Count. And honestly, if the Count hadn't been a vampire, she wouldn't have been into it. The only person she'd found previous companionship with was Mina. Dear, sweet, pious Mina. They had definitely never been lesbians together. They just admired each other deeply and liked to restore historical houses together, make vegan zucchini bread, and date each other's exes. But not lesbians. No, not lesbians at all. Just the closest, closet sexually and emotionally involved friends who fostered 2 rescue pit bulls, brought clean running water to an entire village, became the Prime Minister of Belgium or Iceland, fixed the financial crisis, starred in the Twilight movies, became the first American woman in space in 1983, whatever, you know, straight girl stuff. Stuff like staring deeply into each other's eyes, going on 72-hour-long first dates, wearing medium wash jeans and no iron professional tops, never missing a regular 6-month teeth cleaning, seeing Lena Waithe in the Glendale Whole Foods, then impulse buying a 5-pack of Carhartt tank tops. But no, not lesbians at all. No, lesbians, no. Sometimes they'd even solve crimes together with their stoner friends, drop their thick glasses on the ground and say jinkies, but not in a lesbian way. Straight, heterosexual jinkies. It was more like jinkies, like that. Jinkies between a woman and a man, and not jinkies again later that night with Ingrid, the stable mistress, who could suck an oyster out of its shell, who could find a clit if she were blindfolded in the middle of a black forest on a moonless night. None of those jinkies. No, jinkies in a sweaty tangle of hay, the scent of honeysuckle that made the summer of 1867 feel like it would go on forever, but could also live in only a breath or a dream. No, not those jinkies. Just two straight ladies who had never been inside each other, never, and had no jinkies. So obviously, Mina was a little angry, or should we say jealous, when Lucy started getting her arteries toothfuckery by a 500-year-old Transylvanian twink. But that didn't matter now. Mina didn't matter now. Lucy was sexy, and soon she'd be dead. Everything a girl could want. The Count tapped gently on Lucy's window like a coy little bitch. Do you want me to come in? He said. Yes, my lovely leech, Lucy said, opening her robe wider. He entered and stood at the foot of the bed, wrapped up in his black cloak like when you try to pack up a tent, but you fuck the whole thing up, and there's like a guy in there too. I can smell your loveliness, he said, licking his thin-ass lips and smiling. This is what she'd been waiting for all night. She spread her legs and let her leaking be known. Good, because I have a lot of loveliness to share tonight. Lucy had started her period 3 days ago. She knew tonight would be her heaviest flow. And wasn't that really obvious if a fuckboy is a vampire? So she was shocked when he covered his mouth and retched. Oh, no, he said. What? The period blood is not really my thing. Not your thing? Not your thing? Are you fucking kidding me? You suck the blood out of police officers, you filthy ass. She wrapped her robe around her. I know, I just do not like the jammy biscuit. What the fuck is a jammy biscuit? I understand this is a disappointment to you, he smiled. But you already knew I was a monster. Yeah, get out of my Protestant home, she said, falling back onto the bed. She heard the squeak of a bat, and he was gone. Fucking men. How did men always... Ugh! Man! She opened her eyes and caught her reflection in the mirror, and just happened to be on the ceiling above her bed. Part of the fun of being with Dracula is that in the mirror, she couldn't see him. It was like she was fucking herself. One of her tits had wobbled out of the robe. She pinched the nipple lightly, just to say hi. It was like she had been fucking herself. She pinched harder. It hurt, but wasn't bad. The robe slipped open further, and she watched her hand drift between her legs. The tip of her finger came away, wet, and she left a stirring below her canine teeth. She wasn't a full vampire yet. She didn't have the full fangs or the fear of sun, but she had certainly become something supernatural these last few months. She tested with her fingertip again, a bit more wetness. She didn't think it was all blood this time. Why did she need Dracula to make her like period sex? After all, it was her jammy biscuit. She started playing with her clit and could feel her vision stretch. The smell of copper drifted up to her nose, and she could feel her canines quiver. Lucy began playing with passion. Never looking away from herself in the mirror, she inserted her middle finger up to the tip, but didn't need it further. She opened her lips wide and played that clit like a game of cricket against Ireland, like a game of polo against Scotland, like a game of colonization against Asia, Africa, and the Americas. She flicked and she flicked. She moaned and made weird little horny bat noises. Her fingers were covered in her monthly nectar, and right when she was close, she put them in her mouth and licked them clean, pushing herself past the brink and screaming out, "Oh, fuck the police!" Then she drifted off to sleep, satisfied, knowing that she did get to fuck the hottest vampire in England after all. The end.
I'm also clapping in the race to unmute myself so that I can fill silences. Thanks, Baruch. Some gross jammy biscuit stuff happening on Twitter, let me tell you. All right, next up. Oh, I should say in between, if you still need tickets and you want to vote, $5 is one vote. The more you donate, the more you get to vote. Booksmith.com/homewreck is where you can buy those. Next up, we're gonna do Dracula. The main guy, the guy that's Dracula, without whom we would not have Sesame Street's The Count, or Count Chocolate Cereal, or Castlevania, or Grandpa and the Munsters, or Buffy, or Anne Rice, or the song Bela Lugosi's Dead, or the 2005 direct-to-TV video movie Batman vs. Dracula. I mean, it's Dracula.
And What We Do in the Shadows, that's a really great show.
True.
I don't know what you are talking about.
I have only heard good
They're
things.
not real.
He's super smart, he's an alchemist, he's a lord in Transylvania, he's horny for power. To be clear, everyone in this book is horny, like way a lot. He's horny for power specifically. Okay, I'm gonna turn it back to you, babe.
Welcome back, everyone. One of my favorite jokes from that show is when Nadia's like, "Jiff, what kind of a name is Jiff? It sounds like a sad, empty ejaculation, like, Jiff." I love that show. All right, children, it is time for our second story. I hope you're all ready. It's a good one. Here we go. All right, second story. Dear Diary, I have visitors this week, a dreadfully boring couple, the Harkers, as in hark. There are no angels singing because they've fallen asleep while bearing witness to absolute nothingness unfolding before them. They told me what they were here for, but I couldn't be bothered to remember. I refused to be bored in my own home, so I went to visit Lucy. She and I decided to spend the night in, gabbing away as girls do. She told me she's just received 3 marriage proposals. She's such a hoarder, and selfish too. What sort of lady doesn't share her spoils? Although, to be fair, I don't know that I particularly enjoy salacious activities with any of them. Dr. John Seward strikes me as the sort of man who asks his lover to bathe before and after intercourse, but would never have intercourse while bathing. Sounds like a true sociopath, if you ask me. Then there's Quincy Morris. More like, Quincy, don't you ever fucking touch me? How is it possible that you smell like takeout that's been left in the sun for 3 days when takeout hasn't even been invented yet? But I suppose that's a lot to fit on a birth certificate. And Arthur Homewood, he honestly, she just seems like he'd be a whiny bottom, but I suppose that's why she might pick him. I'll be sure to keep you abreast of any developments. Smooches, Drac. Dear Diary, Mr. and Mrs. Snoozefest are still with me. I attempted to get a rise out of them by steering morning conversation towards lewd topics. They were more open to it than I'd expected, but I'm still disturbed somehow. Mr. Harker said his favorite position was missionary, and Mrs. Harker responded that it's hers as well, because she enjoys being held. And there I sat, trapped in a prison of my own making. I couldn't even escape to Lucy's. She's taken ill. On the first day of her illness, she was only fatigued. I'd assumed she'd gotten her back blown out by the stable boy again. I never found that appealing, really, all that romping around with excrement so nearby. Ew. But that's just me. The second day she got worse, fatigued, and then getting paler. Lucy's nearly translucent to begin with, but now you can practically see residual semen in her cheeks during the day. By the third day, she wasn't even able to get out of bed. Normally, that's a victory. Her situation has become increasingly dire. And I'd be devastated if not for this complete snack of a doctor. Abraham Van Helsing. I truly hope Lucy's recovery is a lengthy one. Abraham seems like a lengthy one. I did go to call on her briefly, which was how I met Abe. I think he might fancy men as well. He complimented my belt buckle. I invited him to dinner next week. Who knows where we'll go from there? Hornily yours, Drac. Dear Diary, Abe came to mine for dinner last night. It was a fascinating turn of events. The Harkers were still there, but I couldn't let that thwart my objective. The four of us sat through dinner, making polite, pleasant, boring conversations, as has become the norm with those two idiots. Finally, they retired to their chambers, and Abe joined me for a drink in the drawing room. Apparently, we have several mutual friends, which meant that I was ready. I was going to tell Abe my truest, deepest desires. But alas, I failed. I failed because I looked deep into his eyes and said, I want to suck your... Then came a loud thud. Bloody hell, I exclaimed. Or I thought I had. I stopped mid-sentence out of fear for offending my future lover's sensibilities. You want to suck my blood? Abe asked, horrified. I, too, was horrified. Why in the world would I want to do that? I asked him. But in my mind, I thought, what if Abraham Van Helsing, Dr. Extraordinaire, is just this stupid? Would I fuck him still? Of course, the answer is yes. I heard him say it too. Mr. Harker had proven to be the source of the thud. Here I was thinking you two were homosexuals, but bloodsucker is so much worse. Where have either of you heard of anyone sucking anyone's blood? I asked earnestly. I feel like I read it somewhere, Abe told me. I rolled my eyes and then emerged. Mrs. Harker. By that point, I was completely exasperated. Do you mind? I said rudely. I am trying to enjoy an evening of raucous sexual deviancy. I suppose all my flirting had gone unnoticed by Abe because he responded with, oh, I love that, a true buffoon. Have you asked them, dear? Mrs. Harker waited for a response from her husband. Not quite, he responded. For Christ's sakes, there are extra towels in your closet. That's nice, but that's not what we needed, Mrs. Harker told us. We were hoping to have you join us. Abe was as confused as I was. Was this what it felt like to be dumb? Join you? He asked. Well, you see, the lady and I do enjoy traditional declarations of love, but more often than not, we also enjoy a good evening of raucous sexual deviancy, as you put it. I tend to just watch, she assured us. Abe and I were positively stunned, and then we obliged, because by that point, my nipples were very hard. Again and again and again we obliged. So much obliging, and now the Harkers have a standing open invitation to my manor. Also, Lucy's dead. But I think we all saw that coming. In good health, Dra. The end. Yay!
Yay! There's a tweet. I'm finding it. Okay, the tweet that I screen cap says, it should be noted that I am skipping a church committee Zoom meeting for the jammy biscuits tonight in Shipwreck. That's the best. I'm obsessed with your accent. Thank you for doing the accent. I'm living for it.
Like all my accents, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep it throughout the night. It's going to come and go, people.
That's the best part of it.
So do vampires.
Yeah.
Come and go.
They come and go, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I don't know.
All right, next up we have Abraham Van Helsing, who's Dracula's like main archenemy, vampire hunter extraordinaire guy. He's a doctor, a philosopher, a metaphysician, the first to diagnose Lucy's vampirism correctly. More than anything, he sort of enters the novel exactly how he exits it, which is horny and overachieving. And now I'm going to turn it to you.
All right, here we go. It is time for our third story. All right. I look in the mirror and pull back on the skin of my face. What I see makes me seethe. It's a brutal face, a pugilist face, something that ought to be on a bruiser or a bulldog, not a man of science. I make a mental note that I ought to stay inside more. My leatheriness is unbecoming. I tell myself it's a nobleman's pallor that I'm after, which makes sense, class envy and all that. But not just any nobleman's pallor will do, will it? My God, Van Helsing, think about something else. It's a funny thing, a crush. You can just as easily feel one for someone you hate as for someone you like more easily, oftentimes because the feelings needn't be tempered or bolstered in degree, only altered a bit in type. Which is to say, when your eyes fix on someone you desire and your pulse quickens and you're suddenly hungry and you don't know where in your body the hunger lives, it's just the same as what happens when your eyes fix on someone you hate. Which is also to say, it's not a straightforward thing to hate someone. What is the fucking point of an ivory tower? Seriously, why did I want this? Any of this? My body's no good because I never made it be. My brain knows so much stupid shit, but not how to think about anything else. Not lately. I fixate on the creature. You'd think I do hate him. Sometimes I think it too. I imagine meeting him here, though he'd hardly come here. All this garlic, all these garlic flowers, and crucifixes everywhere. So not his scene. But in my daydreams, he shows up, ever the elegant old nobleman. He's genteel, has the manners of a knight and the teeth of a hunting hound. He hands me a gift with a bow on it, red wine, the richest vintage. I thought of you, he says, a nobleman's lie to cover the indignity of giving someone a gift. He's so practiced that it's believable. Maybe he did think of me. I certainly thought of him and still do. And always do. I'm all teenage inside at the sight of him. That much is true. Too, not just from my daydreams. Those long sweeping steps that he takes, those eyes, my pulse quickens and I'm suddenly hungry and I don't know where in my body the hunger lives. Must be a lot like what he feels when he bites someone. Maybe that's why he does it, but no, it's not. He does it because he must. So what's my excuse? In my head, he approaches me like he's scared I'll turn him down for a dance, grabs a fistful of my hair to yank my neck back, though Lucy swears he's much more demure than that, almost shy, that he'd likely consider it rude to yank, that it's not all as charged as I'm imagining, about as sexy as catching rabies from a mad dog, she says, and I hate her for it. And besides, isn't it at least a little bit sexy catching rabies from a mad dog? So in my head, he yanks my hair and exposes my throat that way, and nobody can tell me that he wouldn't, and nobody can convince me that he's an unsexy mad dog when he's bite mad. The bite isn't the point. It's a loaf the only point of baking? Is a loaf the only point of baking bread? Is an orgasm the only point of sex? So I make him toy with me before he chomps down, fingers crawling along the exposed column of my neck, down into my shirt. I'm hairier than he expects, and I make him feel all kinds of different ways about it. aroused, neutral, disgusted. In the end, I'm happiest with disgusted because it's the same as aroused, only more exciting. Like when he bites, it'll be partly because he needs to know what I am made of. A note, I don't masturbate. Appalling habit. Liable to make addicts out of young boys and nymphomaniacs who don't know better. I do get hard, and it does go away eventually. I just have to keep a tight grip on my crucifix and breathe through it. That's all. Breathe through it. I envy him, his noble bearing, his elegance. I never had any of that myself. No wonder the girls sigh over him just before their puncture wounds bleed out. I never used to go for those dandyish types, but something makes me want to curl up in his arms. A beast, a pet. He bites through the sinew of my neck like a hole punched through paper. He's got a hand in my hair and the other around my waist. Does he drop my body? Logic says yes, but my poor lightning-struck brain insists that no. He would keep holding me. He would keep holding me, possibly forever. What's it like to kiss with those things, Count? I say, but more like this. What's it like to kiss with those things, Count? You know, like I'm sassing him. We can't be together. Not even like this, in this limited way, in my own imagination. It's not just that it's impossible, it's ineligible. The imagining breaks down when the clothes start coming off. Our bodies don't go together. I need him to die, and don't appreciate how that sentence begins with I need him, so that anything I need him to actually do is secondary to, well, the need. And what a need. I look back into the mirror, the disappointing leather and meat of me, the human stuff, man parts. I think I ought to start filing my teeth. I wonder how long it takes for a tan to go away. I wonder where I can buy a length of red velvet without anyone hearing about it. I twirl my hair around my fingers and slouch. I wonder what it really is like to kiss with those things. If he does kiss, if he likes it. I always did like to kiss. The end.
Thanks, babe. I love when we get real erotica the most, obviously, and I always say this, and I always have to say it when it happens, because when we would do the show live in the store, whenever there was real erotica, I went from having like 300 pairs of eyeballs like at me to just everyone slowly kind of shrinking and looking at the floor for the entire story. And it was like my favorite thing because you could always hear a fucking pin drop.
See, my favorite thing is when my mother is in the audience and someone brings out the real erotica.
Me too.
The ones that makes eye contact with you the whole time.
Yes. Speaking of,
legs tighter and tighter.
I also like watching your mother in the crowd when we do it. And also, my dad is watching tonight. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Amy's dad.
That's so weird. My dad just called me right now on the phone.
All our parents are checking in on our naughty bits.
My little shout out to my dad is that he texted me yesterday asking if he could rent me a car so I could get out of New York City for a day.
Aww.
I know, he's so good. No one deserves him, even me, especially me. Definitely.
My dad just wants more pot gummies.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
He's like, he's from another era, so like he himself can't buy them. He's like, oh no, I don't do drugs. But when he gets back pain, he texts me like, hey, can I get some more of those pot gummies? And I'm like, sure, Dad. I'll get you all the pot gummies.
We had 2 great tweets last time. I always used to bring a fan to hide behind, and my personal favorite, the yeast also rises. So thanks. The hashtag is hilarious as always. All right, we're at the halfway point. This is normally where we take a break, and instead of doing that, because we're all here virtually, I'll tell you that if you need tickets, you can still get them. $5 is 1 vote. Buy as many $5 as you want to get as many votes as you want, and you can do that at booksmith.com/homewreck. Also, this is where I'll remind you again that we do ranked voting. So as you're listening, You want to think about the story, your most favorite story, your second favorite story, and your third favorite story. And the website to do voting, which, don't vote till it's all over because otherwise it's mean, is, God, what is it? Homewreck? There it is, homewreck.live. Homewreck.live is where you guys are going to vote. You have to use the email that you use to buy tickets, and that's where you can go to vote when it's time for that. But we still have 3 more stories, so don't vote yet. Great. Next up, we have John Seward. He's a talented young doctor and a former student of Van Helsing's. He's also one of Lucy's many suitors. And even though she turns him down, he still cares about her. He dedicates his life to fighting the Count after she falls ill with her horny vampirism. He gets a nice little shout in the epilogue noting that he is happily married, so no longer horny, I assume. Who can say? Baruch, ready to go? Oh, you're muted, babe.
Let's do it.
There you go. All right, I will go. I'll leave you to it. Thanks, babe.
Yay, thank you. I love you. Yeah, I remember watching the Bram Stoker's Dracula when I was little because I rented it from Blockbuster without my parents knowing and just fucking loved it. I was like, yeah, lick that blood.
It's like objectively the horniest fucking movie. Like it's hard.
It's like very 90s dramatic too. It's just like everybody was just like overacting.
And the sets are bad. It's like, how is this real? Like that was
there's a werewolf in it at one point.
And there's a non-zero chance that Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder actually got married during the filming of that movie.
I'm sorry, what?
They talked about it a couple years ago. The wedding in Dracula was performed by a real priest, and they signed all the paperwork. They are not, to this day, certain that they didn't get married.
That is the most fucking Bold and the Beautiful plot point I have ever heard in my life.
That is hilarious.
I always learn something when you're on the fucking panel. Thank you.
Why would they sign the paperwork with their real names?
Aren't you
really
Because
good question.
method acting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be a party pooper. I'm just very confused as to what they did.
No, you're not a party pooper. Like, it's the actors who said, we don't know. We think we might have gotten married. And I wasn't there, so I don't know what they signed or with what names. But presumably, if you were starring in that version of Dracula, you were taking every drug under the fucking sun and enough pot gummies. I will agree to sign just about anything.
Oh yeah, when I was an actor, like there was always shit put in front of me. They were like, "Oh hey, blah blah blah, release, sign this, sign here," and I was just like, "Oh my god, I'm just happy to be here and getting paid to act." And I would just sign shit.
Oh
There's a lot of stupid shit you do when you're an actor.
Are you married to Keanu Reeves too?
Yeah.
Joe. It's a valid question at this point, I think.
The secret is out.
Oh Lord. All right.
Story time? Story time. Here we go. All right. It is time for our 4th story, children. Thank you for being here. I hope you're all behaving. I hope you're all washing your hands. Our 4th story of tonight is titled A Chocolate Encounter. Here we go. As the moonlight crept through his dirty bedroom window, Count Chocula awoke. He wiped his crooked, greasy nose. He shifted around in bed, not quite ready to get up. The cocoa powder had stuck to the sheets from the night before and was beginning to adhere to his sweaty legs and make him feel sticky. All of this left him feeling deeply aroused. He could feel his rigid bumpus pressing against his chocolate heart boxers, eager to break free. Ark! But he had to remember his deal. After tirelessly building his brand as a social media influencer, TV execs had finally reached out about filming a pilot for a morning show. This could be a big money, a money that could change things. He hadn't seen cash flow like this since his peak cereal days. However, word had gotten around Hollywood that the old Count had a problem, a horny problem. one that could potentially destroy his whole career. The theater workshops, the expensive years of schooling at Juilliard, all that work with a single throb of his vampire pepper. But for now, he needed breakfast. He began his routine by squeezing a dab of thick chocolate goo onto his toothbrush and vigorously scrubbed his 2 teeth. Years ago, he had the rest of his teeth removed for sexual reasons. Well, he had no regrets about this. The debt from the procedure haunted him to this day. He reached under the shelf and grabbed a putrid Cadbury egg, cracking it open with his buck teeth. Time to moisturize. He began rubbing the fluid over his face, an ancient secret. He worked his fingers down his décolletage, his jagged fingernails becoming entangled in the thick curls of his robust chest hair. He kept working his way lower and lower until he was almost gripping his foul bumpus. No, I need to focus. He hopped into his brown Cadillac and made his way to Vaughn's. He'd run out of cacao nibs, maca powder for virility, and soy lecithin for creamier loads. Upon arrival, he affixed his mask, barely concealing his zigzag schnoz. The line to go inside streamed far past the Vaughn's entrance. The waiting was killing him. He could feel his horniness growing, and this was clearly an inappropriate place. But this only made it more tempting. The Count had been covering his erection with an old TV guide he found in his car. He knew he was there to get, but felt an urge to look. He walked to the breakfast goods aisle. Pushing past the Lucky Charms, he finally reached his namesake, his empire. "Hello, handsome," he muttered to his cardboard reflection. They had taken that photo of him back in the late 60s. This was back before all the mess with the divorce, the bankruptcy, the drugs. But they could never steal his virile essence. And that photo on the cereal box, his wrinkles were gone. Skin poreless with the fresh vigor of youth. Thick, full, fluffy, sexy hair. Oh, to be that vampire once more. Most vampires did not age, but his excessive horniness wore down on his undead body in ways strange and unnatural for vampires. "I'm not so bad now, am I?" the Count whispered, assessing his current state. "I've still got it. Yeah, I still got it. People still desire me. Some people," he thought hopefully. "I bet everyone in line would love a taste of my chocolatey splendor." A sweat broke on his brow. The breathing under his mask became heavier. The cashier, the fishmonger, that worker stacking fruits, they all would love it too. He breathed heavily and shivered with excitement. No, I can't do this. I can't be caught doing a bunch of horny stuff. Not at Vaughn's. But his bumpus was already peeking over the top of his trousers. Oh, fuck. Naturally, this turned him on immensely. It was so forbidden. He grabbed the container of chocolate frosting from his cart and started bumping his wretched shaft. He stared at his reflection on the box of the cereal before him, remembering the good old days. Unbeknownst to the Count, Tim had been waiting for his moment for weeks, and now here it was, the big payoff. Could it really be this easy? He stood hunched in the next aisle, camera poised through a gap in the shelves. Other shoppers grimaced and sneered as they awkwardly pushed their carts around him. Payday was a-comin'. He could already taste it. Once something is on the internet, it never really dies. Fitting for a vampire? No. After the Count climaxed, splattering his chunky brown load onto a box of Fruit Loops right on the toucan's beak, Tim quickly paced up and headed out. When he got into his car, he texted his TMZ connection. "We've got it. Tap, tap, tap." There was a knock at his car window. There the Count stood, his phantasmal phallus dribbling out the final chocolatey drops. Clothed now only from the waist up, the droplets pattered quietly on his Mary Jane's bold look. I guess it was true what they said. The Count was a fearless man. You have to be fearless to earn a reputation as one of the most dangerous ghouls in Hollywood, but he had seemingly softened up in old age. Though the audience of today only knew a milder Count, clearly his Sagittarian fire had never been fully extinguished. Tim remembered all the shocking news he read about him when he was a child. Count Chocula hosts drug-filled orgy in Hearst Castle. Count Chocula in rehab again. Count Chocula washed up. Now there he was, the man himself. Tim's fear was so strong that a stool began to push out of his rectum. He forcefully retracted. Chocula opened a yoo-hoo, chugging the entire drink as Tim pleaded. The Count pulled out a filthy handkerchief from within his cape. After filling the bottle with a strong-smelling fluid from another flask, he plugged it with the handkerchief and reached for his lighter? Wait, man. You can't do this. This is a big mistake. We can talk, Tim sputtered desperately. Was it worth it? Count Chocula asked. Tim wanted to respond, but he couldn't make a sound. Give me your camera now, the Count demanded. Look, it's just a story, nothing personal. I have to make a living. My rent keeps going up. You don't have to do this, Tim muttered as the Count snatched the camera. Little bitch. I knew you were filming, chortled Chocula. Did you see how hard I was? I love the attention. Tim was shocked. Yes, this is all according to plan. Tim didn't follow. None of this made sense. He could feel the fear poo crowning. The Count explained, "You'd think after 50 years that I don't notice paparazzi following me everywhere." Please, begged Tim as the turd escaped. Thank you for the lovely recording. It's going straight on my new OnlyFans page, he gloated. This was the ace up his bunghole. Beyond the TV deal, the Count had been unsure whether he'd have the strength to follow through, but this encounter reinforced his true passion to become an amateur pornography creator and share his horny adventures with the entire world. This slimy goon had fallen right into his trap. He lit the milky Molotov. Tim screamed as the Count tossed it into the car, ending him. Walking away from the burning vehicle, the Count smiled as his new boner grew. Time to make more content. The end. Now I'm kind of hungry. Good thing I got some chocolate in my pantry.
The Twitter was absolutely bananas during that one, but my favorite one was no Safeway in Transylvania. So ridiculous. So good. All right, guys. We got two more. Next up we have Wilhelmina Harker, née Marie. She's best friends with Lucy Westenra, works as a school mistress. She's a complex character in that she basically represents like the scary new woman. You know, the terrifying concept. It basically just means that she has like a full-time job and like eats food. Also, it means she's horny. Of course, she's horny. Just to be clear, she's horny. And yes, she also turns into a vampire too. So Mina's up next.
Wait, which one was Mina in the movie? Was she the redhead?
Winona Ryder.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Lucy was the redhead. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
You're asking the wrong person because I'm face blind and I was stoned when I watched it. But fortunately, Alan is yelling over my shoulder, so yeah.
Hi, Alan.
Yeah, he's back there. But if you were to ask me, I'd be like, what? Hair? Anyway.
All right.
Ready? Ready, steady?
I am ready. Hold on. Just gotta. Okay.
You got it.
Reading is hard.
It is. It's very hard. I don't know how you do this for 6 stories in a row and do such a solidly amazing job all the way till the very end. It terrifies me, and I'm always in awe of you.
It's because I love attention. All right, here we go. And I love dick stories and vagina stories, and I love sexy genitals and sex stuff. Here we go.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Here we go. Okay. And now it's time for our 5th story. Thank you for tuning in. Here we go. Okay. Let me put it to you this way. If you were an orphan who had spent your entire life being reminded of the burden you represented to the empire, the amount it had cost crown and country to see you into adulthood, and how your body represented nothing more than the work of the devil himself, who could only sculpt such worthless clay as your unwanted self into an appealing form if you wanted to tempt the hearts of good, honest Englishmen to wander? If you were that girl and a handsome, wealthy foreigner offered you a no-strings-attached orgy with him and his 3 hot wives, none of whom knew how to tie her corset properly, what would you have done? I really don't see how I can be held accountable here. I'm just a poor little gutter urchin lifted up by the generosity of her betters, something that darling Jonathan never got tired of telling me. Over and over again, he told me, every time I had the temerity to disagree with him in the slightest regard. Want chicken pie for supper when he's set his heart on a bit of beef? I understand that you never developed the taste for the finer things in life, Mina, but the rest of us have standards. Want to finish the grading before you go down to the pub to pretend you couldn't possibly finish that pint while properly chaperoned and all but dying of thirst? No one loves a swat, Mina. If you'd learn to have fun once in a while, people wouldn't like Lucy so much more than they like you. Means a good girl doesn't drink where anyone can see her. It's indecorous and gets into a sloppy alley fight without even a recreational nudity. Really, it's a miracle I lasted as long as I did, or that I didn't push him over the rail of the ship that carried us from England to the continent. I would have done if I'd known that a beautiful bloodsucker was waiting for me in the mountains. Things might have turned out better. But no, Jonathan was the noble Englishman who'd seen the potential in the diamond he'd found in the gutter. Any improvement I showed beyond that which was easily expected for someone of my station was laid at his feet, as piously as a cat lays down a slaughtered pigeon for its master's approval. And any failing was merely proof that blood will always tell, and mine was inferior enough that certain weaknesses would always slip through. I was meant to be eternally grateful that a man whose knowledge of the female anatomy began and ended with his primary school biology courses, with which he no doubt snickered his way through in delighted disgust, was willing to occasionally tweak my breasts like they were doorknobs, and he merely had to spin them the right way to be granted access to the mysteries concealed beneath my gown. Thank God for the piousness of Englishmen who would take not until we're married as a good reason not to press forward with carnal practices. And thank God also for the impiousness of Transylvanians who would take any invitation as an opening through which to press their suit. Oh, he was always a perfect gentleman, more one than Jonathan, for the Count never once got drunk. He never once got drunk and subjected me to lengthy discussions of how much more attractive dear Lucy was, or how much he would like to slap at her rivers of paradise, as if Jonathan, who gagged at the sight of properly prepared oyster, and whose kisses were dry as all of Arabia, would ever consider lapping at any part of a woman's body. More of one than Quincy, who swore his heart to Lucy, and then after a bit too much wine at dinner, swore his lower bits to me. No, the Count was above such poor behavior, and when he came to my bedchamber, he came with my full welcome and consent. And that man's stamina could put an armada to shame. Perhaps it was the immortality, or perhaps it was merely the conditioning which came of keeping 3 deathless brides content night upon endless night, the need to learn to both satisfy and exhaust them, lest they should turn their teeth in unquenchable thirst against the man who made them. It matters little where his indefatigability came from, and his endless age, when yoked to his still youthful frame, meant merely that he was a man who rode herd over his prick, and not the reverse. And so many other men must be, including my dear, dear Jonathan, who could be kept from pressing his suit upon me through invocation of the Lord above, but whose smaller head could still lead him about, dog on a leash at will. Perhaps all men are vampires of a kind, for all of them will retreat before the Lord's name. The Count was merely more honest than most. Jonathan and self-serving Abraham will tell you that I was taken. This is not true. I was no Persephone to be stolen and ransomed for a handful of pomegranate seeds and the whole of winter. I was Orpheus striding bold into the underworld, not taken, but there to take, not hostage, but a fucking hero. When the Count came to me, he knocked 3 times on the doors of my virtue, and I spread them wide for him. And when he pressed the ball of his thumb 3 times to the doorbell of paradise, there was nothing I could do but welcome him inside, and all his coven along with him. I was never taken. Do not let them tell you that lie. Do not let them pretend I was anything more than an English orphan, elevated above her station by well-meaning men who saw only her beauty and never once her soul. Given the opportunity to rut in the filth that had always been her birthright, the Count offered me depravity beyond naming, a rogering worthy of the ages, and 3 beautiful brides who dispensed orgasms the way parish priests dispense psalms. It was a bargain more worth than the small cost of my soul, which I'm honestly not sure exists, and if it does, is most certainly not to be found in England, because England sucks. They will tell you I was taken, like a trinket who did not know her own mind. And then they will tell you that I was taken back, freed from the foul compulsion to make my own choices and ride the rigid cock of a man who will never die, never age, never see his bullocks hit his knees in gravity's embrace. They will tell you they saved me, and I will tell you that I'm going to live forever, and that I'm going to have as many glorious orgasms as there are stars in the sky, that blood is sweeter when it's taken from the cock, and that those arrogant bastards can go fuck themselves, as there are certainly no women in this house volunteering to do the job. Yours eternally, Mina DeVille. The end.
Yes, I'm just screaming and screaming and screaming. Can we just talk about like fucking gagging at the sight of properly prepared posters? Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna stop looking at Twitter now because Twitter is amazing. Wow,
Are they saying funny things?
Yeah, everyone is hilarious, and there's lots of good gifts, and there's lots of people just kind of just nodding along really enthusiastically, and I'm into it. We only have one more story. I can't believe it. So reminder that after the story, I'm going to ask you guys to vote. It's ranked voting. Number 1 is your most favorite. Number 2 is your second favorite. Number 3 is your third favorite. And the way you do that is you go to homewreck.live, enter the email address that you use to purchase your tickets. That part's important. And that's how you'll do it, but hopefully not until the story is over. That went fast. How you doing? You only got one more.
I got time for one more. I just want to say to people sitting at home, if you're going to take a picture of me and post it online, don't post of me doing this. Like, post of me like this. Or like this.
Post of you like, because we got several really good orgasm faces in that.
No.
Into it. So if you
Like
just want to start shouting
that story
fuck,
said.
fuck again, that's the best time to take pictures of you.
Yeah.
Like that story said, nothing ever leaves the internet. I'm like, oh, there's so many bad pictures of me on the internet. Like, bad ones of me just like,
So fucking many of me. Usually I'm in the frame with you on the ones from our show where we're both just making the dumbest goddamn face and like one of
Somebody has found
Guys, why would you
literally
post that?
the least attractive picture taken of me in the last decade. My mouth is open. My hair is the size of Iowa. My dress
Oh, no.
fit. I look horrible, and they have replaced the picture on my Wikipedia with that. I've had
Oh my God.
Oh no.
actually like me switch it back to things that are less offensive, and this person just keeps restoring the edit.
Do you have a nemesis?
I don't fucking know. It is the ugliest goddamn picture. I
That's
don't.
a nemesis move.
Well, I'm a human muppet. I'm pretty in motion, but when you take a still frame, I basically kind of look like Henson built me wrong. But this is seriously,
Oh,
it
no.
is a shitty Jabba the Huttian picture. And their most recent revert, because someone had put a picture that had previously been up there that I had said on Twitter I liked, because I can't edit my own Wikipedia page. They were like, why would we have a picture of the author 12 years ago when we have a picture that was taken within the last 6 months? And I'm like, because maybe
fucking God, I
a
hate
picture that makes the author look like she eats pets is a bad
Also, like, who has the time? Who, and I mean this sincerely, has the fucking time?
I don't know. I don't have the fucking time, and it's my Wikipedia page.
I don't have the fucking time. Anyway, that's
I don't even have a Wikipedia page. That's
Fucking
terrifying.
wild.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
We have one story to go.
Bam.
Anyway, yeah.
She was like, get back on track. Our bad.
Here we go. Here we go. Are you ready, Amy?
Hey, we got one last one. So we got Jonathan Harker. He's our last guy. He's a lawyer. He's your average middle-class wife guy. He's also kind of young and naive. He quickly lands in Dracula's castle as a prisoner, being seduced, of course, hornily by the brides of Dracula. He barely escapes with his life, and after that, his wife becomes a vampire. It's very sad. And he has to vow to kill the Count with the rest of the lads. And then he and his wife live happily ever after. So that's his whole entire arc. You ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it, babe. Last story.
All right, let's do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you
Yeah.
have the Twitter, follow me on Baruch is on fire. I'm also on the Instagram at Baruch Porras-Hernandez. Please follow me. I have no followers. I'm poor. All right, last story. Here we go.
Let's do it.
I have taken to advertising my legal services on TaskRabbit to supplement my income. Mr. Hawkins, my employer, operates his business out of a trendy co-working space called Our Endeavor, the cost of which takes a considerable bite out of our wages. My fiancée insists that the money isn't important to her. Oh, Jonathan, she once sighed in my arms in the back of a dark Nickelodeon, her dainty hands grazing my thigh. This is the only wad that I care about. I was summoned to Romania by a wealthy count looking to relocate to London. On paper, it was a standard job: deliver documents, show him where to sign, and go home. But upon meeting the Count Dracula, I knew it would be much more. He was nice enough for an old hermit, but his hair resembled the finest bosom my legal eyes had ever swept across. Every time the Count turned his back to me, I would swoon at the supple, white mounds perched atop his ancient scalp. Once I was settled in my room in his dank castle, I caressed my own member with a savagery not seen since my youth. The fresh images of the Count's crown of cleavage collided with my favorite memories of my dear fiancé's touch on my thigh, the images dancing both together and alone in my mind's eye until I arrived, my breath tearing through me as I ruined my only pair of good pants. I could hear wolves howling outside of the castle as I faded quickly into sleep. Had I been lured to a sex palace under the guise of work? What devious intentions did the Count hold in store for me? Whatever they were, I knew I was quite man enough to face them. This initial fondling was merely rehearsal. Surely I would rise to the occasion should the opportunity prove my manhood arise. I may be engaged to one woman, but I would rather betray her than allow any person the chance to laugh at my dick. No one laughs at my dick. No one. I woke with a start. The fervor of my self-abuse and its violent climax had dropped me into a dreamless sleep. There was a draft in my chamber, and I felt its chill most potently on my exposed, wet knob. Feeling refreshed, I redressed and left my chamber to explore the castle. I met many locked doors on my journeys until one gave way into a dank passageway. There was a strange yet familiar scent on the air. The further down the passageway that I crept, the stronger this fragrance became, smelling of both the crudest animal and the softest springtime blossoms. The passageway ended at a chamber before me. 3 beautiful women lay entwined on a large bed surrounded by draped silks. The aroma was most powerful here, but now with a coppery bass note that I could not immediately name. My eyes feasted on their little figures, each dressed in a sheer gown, littered with strange brown stains and cigarette burns. The gauzy fabric brought a new height of obscenity to their nudity I had not seen since viewing the wet nightgown films at the Nickelodeon. I felt an entire lifetime pass before my eyes. Finally, found their faces, none of which were looking at me. The women were smoking cigarettes while passionately debating a topic that eluded me. "You're both wrong," the woman on the left declared. "A Romany baby fresh off its mother's tit has the best flavor." I choked at her sentiment, sure that I heard her wrong. Whereon the woman on the right sighed as they each flicked their cigarettes away from the bed. "Hello, big man," purred the woman in the center, exhaling cigarette smoke with each word. All 3 women crawled towards me across the bed on their hands and knees. I could feel myself pulsate with unknown levels of excitement and fear. My mind had only dared to imagine showing my erect pride to one woman. But 3? 3? There was no biblical story to refer to a man laying with multiple women in one room. Hadn't Abraham laid with his wife's slave in privacy? Perhaps I should have read Arabian Nights as my fiancé had suggested. I balked at the pressure but managed to stifle my reticence behind a grim facade. Like this, "Hello, women," I murmured. To my confusion, the women exchanged pitying looks. The woman on the left took my hand, cooing, "Come lay with Gretchen." She pulled me down onto the bed with cold strength, placing my head in her arms. My gaze was transfixed to her breasts, the first I had ever seen with my own eyes. "Meet my sisters," Gretchen gestured to the women, "Karen and Regina." Karen busied herself untying my ascot, murmuring, "These fucking fops," under her breath as she struggled with the knot. Regina unfastened my belt with an industrious air as though she were trussing a chicken for roasting. My heart raced ever faster with disbelief at my luck. To bed 1 woman would make me a man, but to bed 3 at one time? I would return to London a crackerjack. I was certain of it. Ecstatic tears stung my eyes. My pecker throbbed as Regina's icy hands pulled my trousers off, unaffected by her frosty touch. Karen freed my neck of the cursed ascot, opening my shirt with her frigid hands. "Women and their damned cold hands," I thought to myself, remembering my fiancé for one moment. Surely she would not consider this a betrayal if she knew this was a mere rehearsal for our future marriage bed, I reasoned. Gretchen moved behind my head, placing her pillowy breasts on my forehead to cover my eyes. "Oh, God," I groaned with ecstasy. One of the women let out a derisive snort, which another shushed. A hand grazed my exposed torso, eliciting an excited shudder from my body. I lay there, vulnerable to every earthly pleasure they dare give me. Above me, Gretchen yawned. "Let's go. Whew, it's almost dawn," I heard her say. From my left, I could hear Karen chide, Rushing spoils it. I willed my heart to slow its speed, afraid it would burst. My furious erection threatened to break through the thin fabric of my drawers as it stood straight up. I pointed directly at the God I promised to thank when this was over. All 6 hands moved across my body, holding my limbs in place. I had never witnessed a love scene where a woman was on top of the man, let alone in control. Would I still be a man if I allowed things to go on this way? One merciful hand finally reached for the button of my drawers. The mere weight of it drove me over the edge. I screamed in agony at the release, my cock pumping a lifetime's worth of seed into my drawers. Are you fucking joking? Regina scoffed. I struggled to catch my breath. Please, I choked. Just give me a moment. There was an odd silence from the sisters. With terrifying swiftness, they each descended on me with bared fangs, biting into my flesh as I dropped off to sleep. The end.
I just think that we should all know that during that story, someone updated your wiki photo, Shannon.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Like 1 million people tweeted it at me. Yeah,
I noticed. It's going to get reverted because they've put it back to the picture from. Why would you have something from 12 years ago?
Oh my God.
I mean,
so. But
also,
I've lost like 50 pounds in the last 6 months, and that shirt fits me again. So fuck those people.
I just, yeah, like.
It's my Wikipedia page. If I want to put a picture of my cat up, I should be allowed to do that.
100% agree.
Cat wearing her bra on her head like a jaunty little hat. This is exactly what Shannon looks like. Fuck you.
Exactly correct. All right, I'm just going to shout out voting one last time. I hope you guys are all doing it now. If you're not, you want to be at homewreck.live. Homewreck, present tense, no D. Everyone wants to call this shipwrecked or homewrecked, but it's not. It's homewreck.live. Use the email address that you use to buy your tickets. And I'm gonna. Hey Baruch, you ready to kill 5 minutes while we let everyone do that before we go back to the panelists and have them admit what they?
I am.
Yeah. Hi. How you doing? What do you have to plug? Tell me about yourself and tell me where everyone can follow you. That's what I want to do.
All right. Well, I am doing. I guess I'm okay. I mean, I'm very, very grateful that I can work from home. That's pretty cool, I guess. You know, just worrying about the world and trying to stay active. All the money I make as an artist in June, I've donated and will donate to Black Lives Matter causes.
Great. Because
I feel, you know, if you're not physically able because of health to go to the protests, you should then donate. And if you can afford to donate, you should help keep the movement going forward because COVID is still a thing, y'all, and police brutality is still a freaking thing. So I did a show yesterday with Litquake. We did a literary show. I host a literary show sometimes. I'm a writer, poet. You can buy my little poetry books from Sibling Rivalry Press. You can find them online. You can buy them from Sibling Rivalry Press, or
I have them, and you can have them too. They are so good.
Yeah, and if we ever are allowed to, you know, go to an event again, if you buy my books, I might draw a dick in it for you.
And Baruch draws good dicks.
He does the best
His
fucking
dicks.
dicks. I said this last time, and I'll just say it again. I laugh every time Instagram like censors a tit because like your entire feed for certain stretches of time is just photorealistic drawings of dicks.
Oh,
They
yeah,
are amazing. Yeah. Like, I have seen some dicks, but you draw genuinely good dicks.
Amazing.
Thank you.
A lot of those asshole comic book artists that like to vacuum seal female characters into their uniforms so that you can see Spider-Woman's asshole, they of being able to draw dicks as well as you. Except that then they would be drawing a dick, and I think if a dick ever actually left their pin, they would, you know, explode.
You know, it's funny. My work published an article called "Sex Tips on How to Survive COVID," or how to keep your life spicy during COVID. And it was just a list of tips to other ways you can have sex without seeing someone like in person. And I gathered some illustrators to draw each tip. I illustrated 2. I illustrated the Zoom queer sex party. So I drew like a large grid of things with like vaginas and penises, and there was trans people of color in it. And then I drew like an anime thing, and we couldn't post it anywhere because even though it was art, because it had vaginas in it, like all the social media platforms, except Twitter. Twitter's great. Twitter's like, oh, you have a drawing of a penis? You have a real penis? Post it on Twitter. We're amazing. But the rest of them just kept censoring us or blocking. Facebook at one point sent me this like note that was like, if you ever post something like this again, we will like ban you for life and kill your parents. It was like such a weird, threatening message to get just for posting a drawing of something that looked like a vulva. Like,
remember, you can use
weird.
Facebook to incite civil war, but if you use Facebook to draw a dick, you're the devil.
But it also reminded me of how like unfair it is. Like, I've been posting pictures of dicks for years and nothing happens, but my friends that draw vaginas just get flagged left and right or blocked. It's like so ridiculous. But yes, I do love drawing dicks. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you need a birthday present for your husband and you get his permission, send me a picture of his dick. I mean, I have affordable prices, and I will, if it happens during June, I will donate it to a Black Lives Matter cause.
But for you.
Yeah, butts.
The entire Twitter feed right now is like, yes, Baruch draws great dicks. We bought the dick. I show the dick to everyone who comes to my home. The dick is now my coffee table book. Like, everyone on Twitter is like, dicks! So, yeah, you...
dicks out for Baruch.
Yeah, dicks out for Baruch.
Before quarantine, I was eating at a restaurant, and this woman kept staring at me, and I was like, oh God, why is this lady staring at me? And then she, like, tapped me on the shoulder, and she was like, do you draw dicks? It wasn't like, oh, are you the Shipwreck guy? Or like, oh, are you that comedian? She was just like, do you draw dicks?
That is such a ridiculous claim that I completely believe it. Like, that's beautiful.
Well, she wasn't like about to praise me or anything. She was like, why are they always dripping?
But also, like, can we talk about the time you did shrinky dicks for everybody?
Oh, when I was doing bags of dicks and I was giving bags of dicks to people, little tiny shrinky dicks.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with my shrinky dick. It lives in the frame of the drawing that you did of me and Casey and you.
Oh, yay! And
it has so much texture and detail. So
well, I've seen a lot of.
This is why you should never give us 5 minutes to kill.
Yeah. So people are asking how to commission you. How do we commission you for dick drawings?
You can just send me a DM and just say like what you would like, and also, but y'all send me dick pics.
On Twitter, your Baruch is on fire. Baruch
Twitter or Instagram.
What's
send
your
me
Instagram
a message.
handle?
Huh?
What's your Instagram handle?
Instagram is just my full name, at Baruch Porras-Hernandez. I'm the only Baruch Porras-Hernandez online. It's easy to Google me. And my Twitter is at Baruch is on fire. But y'all, you have to send me a dick pic that's well lit. You have to be able to see the ball. Like people are like, oh, I'm gonna pay you to draw my dick, and then they send me this like dark picture where I can barely see the dick. I have to like, I'm like, what? Where is your dick? I can't draw it if I can't see it. Yeah, like I have to, and you have to send me a couple so I can actually like do a good interpretation of it.
You need to get a couple of angles in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, though, I do like, if you want it just as a personal present, I do actually draw vulvas and, I draw vaginas. I draw that too. I'm just not as like, good at it because I'm a gay guy, but I try really hard. I put a lot of effort into it.
And that's more than many straight guys can muster, so.
True.
But it's fun.
Hang on, before we keep chatting, I'm just going to drop that voting link one more time, which is homewreck.live. Use the email address you used to buy tickets. Votes are rolling in. Casey just asked me to drop it one more time while we still tabulate. So homewreck.live. Thanks, guys. Yeah, you got any shows?
Before we get off the subject, I just wanted to show people this is one of the things I drew for, the thing. And there's a, boom. I'm
Yeah, that's a good vulva.
It's a good vulva.
Yeah, it's got some variety in there, and then this is the anime one I did where we're encouraging people to just watch porn and all types of porn. And I don't normally draw butts that much, but I'm really proud of this butt.
Dude, that butt!
That is a good butt, like the gleam on that.
Leaps off the page.
I spent a lot of time on that butt. Also, I miss sex so much, y'all. I know that it's a stupid thing to miss. Like, I
don't know. I'd say that you missing sex is better than me. I miss the Target toy aisle.
The whole
feeling like I can just go wander around the toy department of Target looking at things and cleaning the aisle. I like to put stuff back where it belongs, with being not only self-indulgent but dangerous. So missing sex is a way better choice.
I mean, it's also sometimes like not just I just miss like hugging a guy. Like I'm here, in my little apartment. I have a roommate, but I can't hug him all the time. And most of the time he's like, why are you trying to hug me? Like, because you're the only other human I can hug. Like, I went on a walk the other day and like, there was a dude jogging in the tiniest shorts, and I swear to God, I had to fight my urges to just like run after him and like tear them off with my teeth. I did it. I'm like, I don't want to be that creepy, but I was like, don't do it. Just keep walking. Keep your mask on and keep walking to go get groceries, because I was like, ugh. Anywho, but yeah, I think tonight's show went well. The stories were fun. They're very fun.
The amount of messages I am currently getting for people wanting you to draw dicks is like a little bit overwhelming. And if you guys, I promise I'm going to respond to all of you, but I really can't while I'm also doing this. DM him, find him on social media. He's Baruch and he's very findable. I tag him in everything. It's fine. I promise I'll get back to all of you who are asking me individually though, because I want Baruch to draw all the dicks. Yeah. Hey, you got any other shows coming up before I switch to making people admit what they did tonight?
Oh, good question. Let's see. Shows. This Friday, I'm doing a comedy show. I forgot what it's called. Basically, if you just follow me on social media, you'll see I'll announce the stuff. I'm doing a 8 o'clock comedy show with Sereni, and then I'm doing let's see. That's kind of it. I mean, like the rest of the shows I'm doing with my work. I invite all of you though to please come to Trans Voices. Is a show that I'm helping produce through the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. It's this Monday at 7 o'clock. Trans Voices books queer trans artists, comedians, musicians, dancers. It's a really awesome show. We're doing it this Monday. And then on Wednesday, we're doing a show called Parivar, which focuses on queer South Asian folks in the community. And they're doing a really interesting event where they are having a conversation on how to disrupt anti-Blackness within the Asian queer community and the South Asian queer community. And then Black Love is June 30th. We're going to start with a poetry workshop. And then we're doing a performance at 7 o'clock. All of this can be found on sfaf.org, the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. We're still testing people, we're still open, and we're still doing events that try to keep the community engaged. So as for other, I'm mostly just working on my queer Latino comic book and, drawing dicks and trying not to watch too much porn so my penis doesn't fall off.
The world is so lucky to have you in it.
Thank you. I'm lucky to have Shipwreck. Shipwreck's like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, it's really weird to be doing it remote, and I feel very strange about it. But every time, it's like the lead up, I'm always like, I'm gonna die of anxiety, and I hate this, and I wish I was dead. And then it happens, and I'm like, no, this is great, actually. It's fine. But it's mostly just like I feel so comfortable just like talking shit with you and like, I'm glad I get to work with you. It's a treat and a treasure. I
do miss the audience. You mentioned that thing about Real Erotica. It was always so much fun. It's usually the straight guys in the audience who would like, oh wow, Sherazade is having a really fun time.
Our biggest like recurring thing in the audience was people on first dates.
Right. That was always fun.
I'll just
And
let
it
you
was always fun to see the straight guy like get more and more like uncomfortable in the seats. And surprise boners. When I was up there, y'all weren't very good at hiding your surprise boners. Like, you thought
there was a lot of
you could hide it sitting down, but I saw a lot of surprise boners. And a lot of men suddenly putting like their books in front of them. Some of the stuff, I guess, I was reading was really turning some people off. It was like once in a while, but I did see a bunch of surprise boners.
I am a lot better at not turning purple and hiding in my hair when you're on the other side of the Like normally at Shipwreck, there's at least the one instance of Amy asking if I'm about to pass out because my body has moved into my head and I'm just mortified and dying. And I'm just like, oh, Baruch is talking about dicks. There is clitoris on the screen. It's not the clitoris from Cabin Fever Patient Zero, so we're fine. Everything is awesome.
Sorry, I'm just really distracted by Shehrazade's awesome banana knife thing going on.
Sherazade is going to murder somebody.
Banana knife action.
I don't know what's happening with that, but I love it so much, and I wish it
kind of awesome. Just don't hurt yourself, Sherazade.
It's
yay.
Yeah, there's always one moment where I'm like, on Twitter, I'm like, because I can't really talk to you because someone's reading and we're like across the thing, and I'm like, is Seanan okay? Like on Twitter, there's like always one moment.
Yeah, I just stopped breathing, and apparently that doesn't happen when we do it remotely.
All right, this is your very last call for voting, y'all. Homewreck.live, and since Seanan and I are already chatting, I'm going to tell you guys my favorite Seanan story, and then I'm going to launch into bios, and we're going to find out who won. So my favorite Seanan story is we did an Emerald City Comic Con show that was a disaster on every fucking level because we had everybody drop out on the last day. We wound up having like 3 readers. It was horrible. And the worst part about it was we had to do 2 shows back to back in the same venue that were both packed houses. And doing this for 2.5 hours is a lot. Doing this for 5 hours is a lot. And I'm usually in 3-inch heels. So I was already dreading it. I was already exhausted. And we had everybody drop out. So we only had like 4 people on stage. Baruch was reading. And we finished the first show. One of my writers who managed to be there for the first half was like, I gotta go. My wife doesn't feel good, and left. And I was like, well, this is going to make the second show really weird. And I stood up off stage and I was wearing a dress, and the entire zipper on the back of my dress split wide open. Completely not repairable. I am now standing here with the breeze on my back, and I have another 2.5-hour show to do with no panelists. And Seanan, whom I love and who has been with the show from the very first fucking day of it, stands up and takes the dress she's wearing and pulls it off over her head and throws it to me. And she's standing there in shorts and a bra, and she's like, I got a sweater, I'm fine, and like pulls this cardigan off her shoulder and like buttons it up, and I'm like, so I pull the dress on, fits perfectly, we're like probably the same size, yeah, and I'm like, huh, this is happening. My poor husband, who we were staying in a hotel, obviously, because we were in town visiting, is like, I can get you another dress. I'm gonna go. And he sprints from the venue halfway across Seattle to our hotel, hoping to make it back in time for the second show to start. Literally jogged the entire way there and back and made it. But the point is, Sean stood up in front of a room of, I don't know, 300 people and took her dress off because mine broke. And that is why I will love you till the very fucking day I die.
See, so I have great like love for that particular show because that's the only time I've ever won.
You did win, I know. You never win. You always do the show, and I'm always like, oh, she's definitely got it this time. There's no way they're gonna fucking not make this bitch winner. And every fucking time you come in like second. You always come in second, and I'm always so fucking mad about it.
There's not enough surprise tentacle porn. Like,
you just gotta lean
into the comedy erotica. We need to do something funny sometime.
Yeah.
And then because I always match the tone of the original. Remember when Daniel Handler got confused and asked if he had written my story for a series of unfortunate events?
Yes, the fuck I do.
So,
it was so good. hold on. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go through, this is the part where we're going to go back through the bios again, remind you who everybody is, and then you guys are going to tell me what you wrote so that we can all live up to what we've done this evening. Does that sound good?
Yay.
And hold on, I'm just sending one text. So he can announce. Casey sent me the winners, but I'm getting him to send you the winners because you're the one that always announces it. Great. So, great. I'm going to start with Seanan since we're already chatting. So Seanan McGuire writes things. We have yet to find a way to make her stop. She is everywhere. The corn is, and she knows what you did last Halloween. I dropped the link to her books in the chat on Zoom. I dropped it on the hashtag. Go buy Seanan's books. They're amazing. Hey, Seanan, what did you write tonight?
I wrote Nina Harker, and it involved looking up when doorbells were invented. Because Dracula is contemporary with so many more. How many knives can Scheherazade get in the fucking Jesus fucked a pony and called it Easter fucking Sunday?
I think it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, but it's also kind of like there's a horror movie happening in our Zoom meeting and the arterial spray on someone's webcam.
I'm ready to just look out the dark window and just see Scheherazade.
Like the Candyman is just fucking there. Like, I don't know.
So fucking good.
Yeah, Dracula is contemporary with playing cards and Nintendo and was written 20 years after the invention of the doorbell. So calling the clitoris the devil's doorbell actually appears for the first time in recorded literature in 1883.
Wow.
I never don't learn something when you are here.
Wow.
Hey guys, let's give a round of applause for Seanan. Thank you so much.
Yay.
It was a fucking delight. I was screaming through your entire story. Okay, I mean I was for all of them. Hey Rax, how you doing? I can't actually see you on my little scroller, but I'm assuming you're there. Let me find you. There you are. Hi.
There, hi.
Rax King is a bitch. This is the second time I've gotten to call her a bitch tonight. It's really fun. She's the author of the collection, The People's Elbow. She is, her forthcoming essay collection, Tacky, comes out in 2021. I'm so fucking excited for it. Her work can also be found in Glamour, Catapult, and Electric Literature. Also, please look out for her monthly column, Store-Bought is Fine, for hot takes about the Food Network. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have anything you want to plug or talk about or make people watch or read or do?
That's a big umbrella.
Whatever you got. It's all possible here.
Things I want to plug. I have another edition of The People's Elbow coming out on Monday. So, oh my God, I'm a little drunk. I'm like talking like I'm drunk. Yeah, we're good. So yeah, a new edition of The People's Elbow is coming out on Monday. If anybody wants to buy it, I would be very grateful. It's a very sad little book about like The Rock, the wrestler, The Rock, and yeah, that's all I got. And is this the part where I cop to who I wrote about?
Yeah, do you want to tell us who you wrote?
Yeah, Van Helsing, the vampire slayer, vampire studier, really, / nerd.
He's a nerd.
Polymath.
Yeah, he is.
What?
You were my favorite cold email for the show, maybe in the history of time, because you were just like, oh, so you had me at like, please write about Dracula's dick, which I'm already doing literally all the time, and it made me so happy. So thank you for that. Thanks, Rax. I was really happy to get you to do this show, and the way that Twitter lost its fucking mind when I said that you were on the show, and everyone was like, yeah, no one else is ready at that level. Like, goodbye.
I mean, they just do that. Twitter, like, follows me everywhere. They're all my sons. I kind of wish they would stop, but they'll never stop.
Yeah. I mean, you're also good at trolling them infinitely, and it makes me very
I love them. I love my sons. My embarrassing sons.
Your several dozen sons, yeah.
My like 30-some-odd thousand sons. Too many sons.
Well, thank you again for being here. It was a delight. And yeah, thank you for writing Van Helsing. It was delightful. Scheherazade and Dylan, I'm not sure which of you I should be addressing. You are two friends who love eating big, tasty meals together. Do you want to tell me what's going on? Do you have anything to say for yourself besides?
Yeah, Baruch reached out to me, and I basically turned the story over to Scheherazade, who I don't know if she's spotlighted, but she should be. I I can't tell you much about her, other than she has a lot of knives and, you know.
Really the ears. The ears are what I can't really look at.
Yeah, her ears were put on upside down.
Baby.
Of course.
No.
That's a lot of knives.
Yeah, I use some. Don't you?
Do you guys want to tell me what you wrote tonight?
We wanted to stick with our character assignment, which was John Seward, or the Count Chocula story.
Hell yeah. Round of applause for
I thought Count Chocula was so fun.
That was a fucking riot. That was so much fun. The amount of like cereal gifts and like cereal porn and jokes on it was amazing. Thanks, you guys. It was a delight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Everybody should follow Dylan McKeever on Instagram because she is so funny and her art is really great. And she talks to her plants, and all her stories and videos are just hilarious. So everybody has to follow Dylan on Instagram. I highly recommend.
I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure how performance arty this was supposed to be. But when Baruch introduced me, I went straight to your Instagram, and I was like, no, I love this. This is perfect and amazing.
Cool. I'm on there as @DMakes. So D is in dick, E is in engorged, E is in erection, MAKES.
Yes.
DMakes.
So good. I love it. And thank you again.
Thanks.
Yeah, and your home looks absolutely beautiful and lovely, and I'm jealous of it. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe Wadlington, who Casey texted me as trying out for Streetcar tonight.
Amy!
Yeah. I forgot to mention this at the top, and I'm a little embarrassed, but you're our winner from last time, so you're a returning champion, and thank you for coming back yet again for your umpteenth fucking. You can even count that high time. I appreciate it. Joe Wadlington has been published in The New Yorker and Catapult and Vox and Food and Wine magazine. His etiquette column, Polite Company, appears in Architectural Digest Monthly. He's deeply ashamed of each of you and most of all himself. Also, I love your etiquette column.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's really fun.
Can you tell everybody like what kind of questions you answer? Because I think they're amazing.
Yeah, they're mostly... so my whole thing is that with social media and texting and read receipts, and do you like someone? Do you heart people's texts or not? Like, we have more ways modernly to offend people than we have ever had before, and we have no tools to do them with. So a lot of the questions are about mental health or dating, or can I tell people I don't want to go to the Zoom call when they have have nothing else to do, and how do I do it? So it's like sticky, weird, modern social situations that you want my advice on.
That's fantastic. And how can people submit questions to you, babe?
So there's, let me see if it's in my Twitter bio. There's like a Condé Nast email. It's like.
That's right, you're Condé Nast now. You're so fucking fancy, man. Where you went? I feel like I get to say that, like, for the rest of your career.
What'd you say?
I feel like for the rest of your career, I get to say I knew you when. It's very weird.
You knew me when? Yeah, you knew me when I was coming up to you and like shaking and being like, I'll read all of Atlas Shrugged, I promise, if you put me in the show, Miss Stephenson.
Yeah, you called me Miss Stephenson, and I was like, who the fuck does this guy think he is?
I'm sorry, I'm in Tennessee right now and just full of fried chicken, so I'm going to call everybody Miss and Mister. Yeah, it's Polite Company at condenast.com.
Fantastic. Send him questions. He answers them very gracefully.
I am just genuinely in awe of the fact that we have an advice columnist doing Shipwreck. That is some bullshit.
It's very sex positive advice.
It's true. It's all possible here. I mean, look.
All possible, yeah.
Hey, do you want to tell us what you did tonight, babe?
Oh yes, so I wrote about Lucy Western Rose Jamie biscuits.
Yes, you did. Yeah, the biscuits went over big on Twitter. Thank you for that. Round of applause for Joe.
I really thought that there was going to be a lot of, well, I mean, it is a period piece already.
Yeah.
Right? I thought there was going to be a lot of like bloody action.
Yeah.
So I almost didn't go for it. So now I'm really glad that I brought in the monthly nectar.
I'm honestly surprised there weren't more period jokes. I was ready to do like a drink every time period, but because we have period jokes when like it's a stretch, like all the way. And this is like it's right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Joe.
Of course, always my pleasure.
Hi, Dominique.
Hey, sorry, I turned my video off because my internet was being wonky, but I think we're
Okay. Here you are.
Hi.
Hi, Dom.
Hi.
I didn't do a bio for you, so I kind of pulled it off your social media and your websites and stuff. So
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, don't apologize. I just want to make sure you have a chance to tell everybody what they should know about you. So you're a comedian and writer based in Oakland, California. You're a writer for Nice Tank Comedy and Killing My Lobster. Anything else that I don't know about you?
That's actually pretty much the bio. There's like one more sentence for fluff that I have to put there. And I don't even like that sentence, so I think you nailed it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. This is our first time. Baruch's been, you've been politely declining me. I'm glad to find, no, it's fine. It's a weird fucking show, but I'm so glad to find you because Baruch talks so highly of you, and I'm so glad to finally have you here. So
thank you. In my defense, okay, so every time that Baruch's been like, do you want to do the show? He's been like, it's erotic fan fiction, and I'm like, yeah, okay, no thank you. Because I'm not a prude in the judgy sense. I'm a prude in the way that like I also like vanilla sex. Like it's just where I'm at. And so I was like, I don't know that I could compete at this level. And I was talking to my friend about it who'd done the show, and she was like, oh no, it's supposed to be like funny shit. And I was like, why didn't I know that? And she was like, I don't know. And so I think Baruch just assumed that I was at a comfort level that I was not at, and then once I realized that it didn't have to be like serious erotica, which is what I thought it was, I thought it had to be like very like, and now everybody, but so once I learned that there were some more flexibility.
Because I feel like I could write like a 3-page email just describing like what the show is and what's possible in it, and I never know how to like what the right like still is, of like it's erotic, but it's also like erotic,
Exactly. I still have like a lot of Catholicism trying to shake off of me, so the idea of like reading like serious erotica is intimidating, but when I hear it's like erotica, I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Well,
so I am excited to have been able to join you guys finally.
Dom, you're not the only one. Several writers that I invited to the show sometimes would look at me like, you want me to do what? Like, they thought I was like asking them to do something like super naughty and like.
Do you know what my worst nightmare was? Would be that I would, so I've also never tried my hand at erotica. So my worst nightmare would be that I would try something, write it, think it was good, and then everybody's like, none of us are wet. Gross. Get out of here. And so I was like, I don't want to be that person who's like, I'm outed as being like bad at sex because nobody came to my erotica.
No.
Anyway, it's fine.
Well, I'm so glad you finally did it. I hope you had a good time.
Oh, I had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And would you like to tell us what terrible thing you brought to us tonight?
Yes, I wrote the diary entries for Dracula that ends in an orgy and Lucy, of course, dying.
Do you know how many texts I got that were like, oh my God, someone did the fucking epistolary format? Like you like, you got it 100%. Like you were great. Yeah. So like never doubt it again. Like
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for being here. And last but not least, hey Alani, how you doing?
I'm great.
Your hair looks amazing.
Thank you. I washed it specifically for this.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God. I saved my once a week wash just for this.
Yeah.
Alani is a Bay Area native who moved to New York City to pursue a career in entry-level accounting jobs. I can't even read that without laughing. Her past as a San Francisco comedy writer haunts her to this very day, and she is cursed to write horny prose until the day she dies. I'm sorry for that. Thank you for doing the show. As soon as we were doing this, I was like, you know who I bet could get real gross about this? Oh, honey.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You got anything you want to promote or talk about or anything coming up or anything at all?
I don't have anything to promote. I just want to ask people to keep donating to causes.
Yeah. What'd you write, babe?
I wrote Jonathan Harker.
Yeah, you did.
1 Minute Man.
It was so delightful to have back. I feel like this is like one of my favorite shows because I feel like I've finally been able to bridge the gap between the people that I love in New York and the people that I love in San Francisco and have you all the same thing at the same time. So thank you. And that was delightful. Casey, text me and tell me, are we ready? What are we doing here?
I have the, you know.
Yeah, he told me to like give a tiny delay because there were new things. Hold on, he's texting me. We're gonna do it. We're ready in seconds. I'm just double checking that we're ready to announce before we go. The little dots that he's typing, they're coming. Right, they're accumulated. Okay, so what Baruch has is right. Okay, great. So hey, do you guys want to know who won?
I do.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right, you ready, babe?
I am ready. I do miss sexually harassing Casey during the shows. That was always fun. Because he always took it like so politely. And I was always like joking, but
he's a polite lad, yeah.
He was always so like, thank you. Okay, Here we go. All right, in third place, the winner of third place and the third sexiest writer of the night is the author of Mina.
Oh.
Give it up for them. Yay.
I'm just laughing so hard because you're always placing. We were just talking about this. That's amazing. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I've dropped a rank. I usually take second.
You usually take second. You're very consistent with second.
I am. So I think this is my first third, and I'm proud of it.
I'm proud of you too. I loved it, but you know, like what I meant doesn't matter what I think. Anyway, Seanan McGuire,
congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. In second place, the second place winner of tonight's Homewreck / Shipwreck is the author of John Seward, or Seward, however you pronounce that last name.
That is, sorry, I'm checking my notes. Dylan, oh my God, Dylan. First time caller, long time. Thank you. Congratulations, Dylan.
Thanks.
Thank you for writing.
And Scheherazade.
And Scheherazade, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to forget.
No worries.
That's
Thank you so much.
Watch out, she's got knives.
She has knives. She has knives. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. And congratulations. Your story was amazing. I love it.
That story was so fucking funny. It was really great, you two. Congrats to Scheherazade and Dylan for winning second place. That was hilarious.
Thanks.
All right, and in first place, I'm sorry, what?
That's all right. I was going to say, all right, baby cakes, who got in first?
In first place, the perviest, dirtiest, most erotica writeriest person tonight. Give it up for your winner, the author of the story about Lucy Westerna. Yay!
Unstoppable!
She came to slay, and she did. Congratulations!
Victory is thine.
Yeah, man. Where are you? You got to be here somewhere. What's your... You're just laughing. There you are.
I hope everyone enjoys, treats themselves to some jammy biscuits, and keeps, just like Lucy Westerna said, fuck the police, keep the fight going. For an incredible time. Don't stop.
Hell yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much for attending this virtual event. I will tabulate the things and announce where donations go when it's all over. I have to do some math on the back end, but thank you everyone who bought tickets and donated. I'm excited to spread it around, and congratulations to our three winners, and especially Joe, who just is unstoppable and cannot stop winning. Thank you so much to every single one of our writers that wrote tonight, and thank you, Baruch, as ever, for being our fearless reader. Thanks to Evan and Casey on the back end. Thanks to Booksmith for always letting me defame their reputation. Follow all the writers and buy everything that they do and read everything that they write. And thanks, you guys. I hope you had fun tonight.
Bye, Amy.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody.
Good night.
Bye, friends.